today. I'm going to go ahead and get this started. So I've had a few people request to go ahead and do a foundation routine of my daily foundation routine. So I'm just going to be doing my foundation. I'm not going to be doing any eye looks with this tutorial or anything like that. But if you guys would like to see more of these videos, let me know in the comments below. And go ahead and join the family, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that post notification bell so you can see when I post. So we're going to go ahead and jump in and get started. So my face is completely blank. I have nothing on my face or my skin. I washed it this morning. The first thing that I do when I do my foundation is I go ahead and I put on a toner every single day. This kind of evens your skin tone colors every day, and it dries up any acne that is brewing or getting ready to pop up on your skin. So I just kind of put this all over my face. This is just like a little cotton pad. You can get these at Walmart for like $3 for a big old thing of them. So I just run that all over my skin, and I love the way it feels. Now some toners can actually burn your skin, but this one has a lemon scent to it. It smells so good. And it just basically gets rid of any impurities like acne that's starting, and it's oil free, so basically it doesn't leave that residue on your face, and it feels really great. I usually use the toner as well. Okay, so for priming my face, I use a few different primers. It varies from time to time, but my normal go-to primer is the Angel Veil's NYX primer. It's got like a kind of like this color cap, and then it's got like a white bottle with black lettering. It's my favorite, by far my top favorite. It is $16, but you can get this at Ulta, and I love it. I've loved it for months. It's my go-to primer, but I do not have that right now, so we're gonna go ahead and go with what we do have. But first, I go ahead and I put on the pore filler. This is just to basically cover up any pores that are real big and won't show, you know, I don't know if you guys know, but when you get those little like wonder what all those little holes are, like right here. Some people have larger ones than other people, but either way, you should always use a pore concealer or a pore filler before starting foundation. Let me know. So the next one I use is basically the Tarte Double Duty Beauty, the base tape. So this is kind of like the C collection. It's a hydrating primer. I tend to have dry skin in the winter, and it's like a milk base kind of. Very runny. Very runny, but it smells like coconuts and I love it. So it's kind of like a hydrating moisturizer as well. So you don't have to use a moisturizer with this primer just because it is so hydrating. So today I probably will not use my moisturizer, but this is the moisturizer I typically use, and I put that on before I do my primer. So this is the primer I'm using. Alright, and then my drugstore foundation is this right here. This is about $11, I believe. And you can get this at Walmart. I use like the lightest shade possible. Then I'll use my beauty blender here, and I'll do about 1 to 2 pumps because this is a medium to full coverage, and it's very lightweight on the skin. This is similar to the Bare Minerals foundation that you can get for like 30 some bucks at Ulta. So I have bad under eyes usually. I use the Tarte Shape Tape concealer. Now if I don't use this concealer, I typically always use this concealer. I love it. I know it's expensive, but it's my favorite. And it lasts you a really long time. Just one bottle lasts you a good while. So now I'm basically, there's not areas that I'm covering as much, but I'm giving myself some more coverage as well with the concealer that I'm about to use. And like I said, this is the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. Lightest shade, I'm pretty sure. It's the 8B Porcelain Beige. And then I just blend this in with this because this blends really nicely together. You want to get a foundation and a concealer that blends real well together. If you don't, then it's going to look blotchy, and it's obviously going to patch and be blotchy throughout the day, and you don't want that. Now when you're doing your foundation, make sure you also get a foundation that matches well with your skin type. So there is oily skin, there is dry skin, there's normal to dry, there's normal to oily, there's all kinds, but I have more of the normal to dry skin. Now in the winter my face will get definitely a lot more dry. One year I broke out in like a whole dry hive patch on my chin, and it worked its way up onto my nose, like right here, like my smile lines. Oh, it was the worst. So if you have those issues, this is what you want to use. The Aquifer. It's basically a healing ointment. That's like that. So I'll use the Revolution translucent baking powder. There is different types of powder, so I think this is like $5 to $7. I'm not exactly sure on the price, but that's what it is that I use to basically cover up all the oiliness or imperfections. So I'll use a whole nother beauty blender for this step. So I wet down my beauty blender when I'm doing my foundation part, like the liquid part, and then when I do the powder part and the baking part, I use a non-saturated sponge. And I'll just go up under my eyes. I won't do this everywhere, but this is where, especially with wearing masks nowadays, this is where our foundation will tend to wear off the quickest. So going around hugging people, but you will want to bake wherever your foundation tends to wear off the quickest. And you just let this powder sit for just a few minutes. And I will bring it up around my eyelid, just like that. And then sometimes I'll go in on my chin, not as heavy on my chin just because I don't know. It's just how I've always done it. But these come in different shades. It's not just always the translucent powder. I just use translucent because I'm super white. So next I'm going to go in with the Eco's tool brush. This is basically just a more tapered powder brush that I really like, and I'll just take some of this powder in the lid and I'll go on my forehead, and I'll dab some of that on my forehead as well, on my nose. Just kind of put a thin layer of this powder everywhere while this other stuff is soaking in. So the drugstore powder, I've used it since I was in high school, to be honest. I love this powder. It's a great powder. I think it's like $8 to $10 at Walmart. I'm going to go in with the Eco's tool brush again, just a little bit, and then I'll kind of go along where I put that powder. I'll go in between the powder and then my liquid foundation, just to kind of blend those a little bit. I really just don't even think about this anymore, so I kind of got to think how I'm going to say it. I just do it now, so it doesn't take me long to do this in the morning. So then I'm taking the big Kabuki powder brush that I use. There's no certain brand that I use. I just take this and this powder, the loose powder, about that much, and I just kind of dust it all over my face. And at this point I'm going to go ahead and dust away the extra powder that was on underneath my eyes. So I'm going to also show you my contour. I use a powder contour, as you can tell, since I'm not using a stick or a liquid. I barely ever do that just because I feel like it's more work, to be honest. So after all of that, then I will go in and I use two different bronzers and contours usually. I usually just use bronzers on a day-to-day basis, but from time to time I will contour my face if I'm going out, or if I'm going to do something more a little extra or date night. I'll use the Naked Skin Shapeshifter. So this comes with, and this I got on a deal. So basically I've obviously hit pan on this. It's like my favorite highlighter ever. I use this shade and this shade. When I'm tan, I use this, but when I'm not tan, I'll use this. The KYLIE bronzer, which is Tequila Tan, in that shade. And then I'll also use, everybody loves this stuff, the butter bronzer from a regular drugstore. So I go in with a tinier powder brush. This is what I use for my bronzer. I got this brush off of Amazon, I believe, so nothing real particular. And when I do this, and how it was from the top of my ear to the side of my eye, that's how far I will. So after all of that, if I want to make it a little bit more sharp looking, I will go back in with that powder brush that I used for baking, and I will just kind of skim the jawline right here, right underneath the powder, the bronzer. So now for blush, what I use for blush, it kind of varies. So there's and I've had this for years, this is the Too Faced Perfecting Flush Blush. It's called Sparkling Bellini, I believe. So then again, I just use a blush brush, just a little bit bigger. It's kind of like a happy medium between this and this. These are my 3 main brushes I use. So I think I'm going to hop in with my drugstore brand of Milani, the Berry More. And there ain't no particular way, I just put these on the apples of my cheeks. So when everything looks splotchy and I feel like it's not blended well, I go in with my blending brush here. This is the e.l.f. Foundation Blurring Brush. I love this thing. This is probably a really good investment. So I'll just go in with circular motions, not really blending the colors together, but I'll blend the blush with the powder on my face. I always felt like everything kind of looked choppy and needed a smoother base. So for drugstore, I use the e.l.f. and this is in Moonlight Pearls. I love this highlighter. It is probably the best drugstore highlighter I have found yet. And then for every other day highlighter for higher end, this is my baby. This is called the Candlelight Glow Too Faced Highlighter Powder Duo. I love how it gives you like a rosy glow with like a pearly color to it, if that makes sense. So I used rose water, and this has coconut infused with it. And I got this from TJ Maxx. I usually do this before my makeup, but I actually forgot today. So then I just take a regular highlighter brush. This is the Real Techniques by Sam and Nick. And this is the Duo Fibers Contour Brush. I do not use it for contour, obviously. So I'm going to go in with this today, and I just put that a little bit closer to my the outer corner of my eye and right there on the apple of my cheek. And the reason I spray the rose water before I do this is it gives it a more bam effect, if that makes any sense. Alright guys, so that is my foundation routine, and I hope you really enjoyed it. Hope this is not going to be too long of a video, but if you'd like to see how to do my brows or my eyeshadow or an everyday eyeshadow smoky eye, let me know in the comments below and give me a shout out. Alright, well I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!